Hey, good morning, everybody. So, real quick, it's early and I'm about to get some things going. I already have some going. I had some yogurt going in my Instapot last night. Well, should I say when I got home? And so, when you do yogurt in Instapot, you just simply need your milk. And so, here you see the yogurt. I'm going to place it in cheesecloth. And the reason being is that I like to do like a Greek type yogurt, Greek style yogurt. So in order to really get it to the Greek consistency, you have to strain it a bit more. Now right now where I have the yogurt at, it's good enough. But if you want a Greek thicker yogurt, then you would strain your yogurt even a bit more. So I'm taking it out and I have it in a bowl and I'm getting the yogurt all dipped up, and we'll get it in this cheesecloth and we'll let it strain and let the whey even come out even more for probably a couple of hours, half the day, whatever, whenever I decide to get back to it. And then once I get it strained out, then all I'll have to do is put it in my containers and be done with it. Now when I do yogurt, one of the things that I don't do is I don't sugar sweeten it or anything like that, because most of the time I don't know what the preparation is, and so I'll show you guys. Look at that. What I usually do is just go ahead and leave it, and then I use it however I need to use it. Like if I want to use it as a sauce, then easily I can use it as a sauce. So even with this, and I'm gonna strain it up now, I already have some whey coming out, as you can see. So it's already starting to drain. So I just wanted to bring you guys in to see that, and we'll be back when I get ready to start some other projects, because I actually have an English muffin sourdough in the refrigerator fermenting. It fermented overnight, and we'll come back and we'll do that. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Hey there, guys. Good morning or good midday. Back, and we're picking up where we left off. We took the yogurt and we took it and put it in cheesecloth. Now I've already dumped it one time and got a lot of the way out. And the reason why we did that, if you weren't here with me, and by the way, this is Digitally Fit and Fabulous back in the kitchen. If you weren't with me when I did that, I made Greek yogurt on yesterday. So, yogurt, and I want to turn it into Greek yogurt because I like my yogurt a bit more heft to it, thicker. And so in order to do that, when you make yogurt, you need to let it strain out a bit more and get the extra whey out. So I have my quart jar here, and I'm going to go ahead and get my yogurt out, and I'm gonna get it out and let you guys see how nice and creamy it is. I might even need to get a spatula because it is just that creamy, and I probably let it drain for, it's probably been at least 3 hours, maybe a little bit more than 3 hours. But again, I don't mind that because I use a lot of times my Greek yogurt for marinades and different things. And so I wanted to strain it out and get the extra liquid out so it doesn't have to be super creamy for me, because again, I use it for marinades. I'll also use it to do parfaits and shakes and smoothies. So yeah, I personally like mine with the heft and thickness to it. So I'll just go ahead and get it in our jar, and then we'll have that checked off of the list, because again, like I said, if you make your yogurt, and I let mine go for 17 hours, I use my Instapot, and on the Instapot, on your yogurt setting, once it goes on, I believe it starts at 8 hours, and you can, choose how long, if you just want to go to 8 hours or what have you. If you want more tang in it, then you let it go for longer. And I actually let mine went for 17 hours. So nothing more than unfiltered milk. And you also put in, after your unfiltered milk, you add in, if you have any leftover yogurt from a previous batch, then you can use that. Look at me. You can use that and put in it, and it has the cultures. Otherwise, they do sell the kits that have the cultures in it, because you have to have those live active cultures in order to get your yogurt so it'll turn out right. So yeah, there's that. And so from this batch, if I decided like I wanted to make another batch, then I do the same thing. I would save some from this batch, and then I would just add it to the batch inside its Instapot. And again, I use the whole half gallon of milk and unpasteurized. And I don't, now some people I've seen use sweetened condensed milk, stuff like that. I don't do that, because again, it depends on what I'm using my yogurt for. And I don't like to pre-sweeten it. I just like to use it as is, and then I can sweeten as I go. For parfaits, if I'm using it for marinade, I definitely wouldn't want it sweet. If I'm using it to marinate chicken thighs or something like that in there, I wouldn't want it sweet. So, you know, that's why I don't sweeten mine. But here we got a nice quart. I'm gonna go ahead and get the top on it, and we'll get the quart into the refrigerator. And then we got yogurt for the week for parfaits, marinades, or whatever else we want. We'll be right back, because when I come back, we're gonna move into making English muffins. I told you on yesterday, when I started my yogurt, when I finally got home, I ended up doing a new English muffin recipe. Well, the dough needed overnight, and it's a sourdough English muffin, so it needed overnight to ferment and get all the good stuff going. So we're gonna go ahead and do the English muffins when I come back. All right, guys, so I'm back. I've got the English muffin dough, and it's doubled and rise. So we're gonna go ahead and get it out of the bowl so we can work with it and get the muffins shaped, so we can get those cooking. And again, this is a recipe I hadn't done before, so thought I'd try it. And again, it's sourdough. So I was like, okay, let's go for it. Let me get some flour. Just to get a little dusting on my hands to help get the dough acclimated. Now with this dough, we're not trying to, I don't cut out my English muffins. I just want to work the dough back into a ball. And then what I'm going to do from there is, once it's in the ball shape, we'll go ahead and cut it up into pieces so we can get it formed into our English muffin. Let me get my handy tool. Let's go ahead and get it cut up into pieces, and then we're going to form our balls. Once we get it into pieces, I don't, again, try to use biscuit cutters for this, because really English muffins are not meant for you to use a biscuit cutter, but I understand that people do that so that they can, you know, get their pieces shaped correctly. So, you know, you do what's best for you. That's what we always say. So again, just like any other dough, you just want to get it formed into a ball shape. I'm just going to put down just a tad bit of flour to keep it from sticking rather to the mat, because I use my handy dandy silicone mat. And then what we'll do is, let me move this out of the way and move my pan over. So what we do is, once we get it shaped the way we want to shape it, Then we're gonna put it on parchment paper, and I have cornmeal on the bottom, and you just kind of press it down, because again, what happens is we'll let it stay on and rise, you know, to give it a second rise before we go ahead and actually get them going. Because these are sourdough, just give them that extra time, maybe 30 minutes to go and get it all dough going again, and then we'll give them that rise time. And again, just shape them and then kind of flatten them. Need a little bit more to do. That first one I shaped, I can already tell it's gonna be a bit smaller because I didn't, it wasn't portioned like the one I just rolled, but no worries, because it's all about eating and enjoying the food. It doesn't have to be perfect, at least not for me, it doesn't. You know, some people, it's got to be a certain way. For me, not at all. I just want a good product in the end, and I'm always willing to shape and learn and try different techniques, because again, at the end of the day, you may need these skills, so why not get the practice in on how to do it. So we're gonna continue to just get those muffins rolled and shaped up, and I actually think I almost do a better job with getting them shaped when I take them in my hand and work them around a bit. Like this, probably the technique I most like to use. Seems to work a bit better for me. And it looks like we will get, how many, 6, 7, 8 out of here, which is good, because again, you know, this is something to have for breakfast sandwiches really anytime that you want them. Doesn't have to just necessarily be breakfast. Those over here. Tear the flour. Get these last two shaped so that we can get that going. So today on my list of tasks to do, I've done the yogurt already, and so Instapot really helped that with me getting that started on yesterday evening, and it went again for 17 hours. And again, that's all your preference. You can go longer, shorter, whatever you decide you want to do for your yogurt. And then again, starting this sourdough English muffin dough so that I could go ahead and get it going. And so again, started that yesterday evening because of sourdough and it, the recipe calling for it to ferment overnight. You know, that's why I went ahead and did that, because usually I'm one of those impatient people. I don't want to have to wait or anything. So normally I don't do recipes where I gotta ferment it overnight or what have you. I always want to stick to something that I can do same day, but I went ahead and did that, and I'm just anxious to see how they come out. So we'll go ahead and we'll let those rise for probably about 10 to, well, excuse me, I'm saying 10 to 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and then we'll get to cooking them. And while we're doing that, we will probably come back and do our meatballs for the freezer. So we'll be right back. Okay guys, so we're back and we're set up to do the meatball mixture. Usually, you know, most who know me know I don't like ground beef, but we get meat packages and we always end up with ground beef in them. We try to give it away. Most people now, at least the people I know, don't really use ground beef, but I will do meatballs in this. I myself don't truly eat it too much because it gives me like indigestion, so it's hard for me to digest it, especially if I eat it at night. So in the bottom of my bowl, I'd already got some bread and milk mixture mixed up. These are gonna be Italian meatballs, or my version of Italian meatballs. So I have a half of a white onion going in here. Then I have about a quarter cup of parsley, fresh parsley going in. Then we're gonna go ahead and hit it with some seasoning. So we will start off with our usual suspect. That'll be garlic powder. And we're gonna get a good 2 tablespoons in here, because you know the meat needs seasoning. Can't do without it, can't season lightly. I'm gonna have some Italian blend seasoning going in here, and we'll do a tablespoon of that because there's about 2 pounds of ground beef here. I have some of the Kinder's buttery garlic and herb that I use in here. I'm gonna try it in here and see how it does. So we get in there with, I'd say, 2 tablespoons of that. Then we're gonna go in with our Himalayan sea salt. Himalayan pink salt. I don't know why I'm saying sea salt. And we'll get about a tablespoon and a half in there. Then we're gonna go in with some black pepper, generous 4 or 5 turns. And then on top, I'm gonna go in with Italian garlic and herb breadcrumbs. You know, everything I like is garlic, pretty much, in herb. And then last but not least, we'll do some Parmesan cheese in here. And we'll do probably a quarter cup of that. And now we'll go ahead and get these mixed up. Make sure you don't need anything else to add up in here. Trying to get down to the bottom of that bowl. Get that mixed up. And I also have 1 egg in here that ooh, Lord, throwing meat all over. I also had 1 egg already beaten and poured over in here, because I always like to mix my eggs before I put them in anything if at all possible. That way you can make sure that your egg, number 1, isn't bad, and then you can also just make sure that you got it mixed correctly and beaten up in here so that it mixes together. I hate when stuff is not mixed all together. It just, to me, is very, very annoying. So I have to get in and mix very good. Of course, with ground beef, as they say, you really don't want to work any of these ground meats too long because you don't want them to become tough. Now, at this point, if you were lazy and didn't want to do meatballs, you could do a meatloaf. Same seasonings, and then just shape it into a meatloaf, and then there you go. You have it, and you got it done. I'm about to take these gloves off because, for one, they're my husband's gloves, and they're too big for my hand, and every time I get in the beef real good, then they want to try to slide off. You know, I ain't with that program, because I'm really trying to get to the bottom of where I had the milk and bread mixture to make sure that it's incorporated well. So maybe one more turn, because you go in using your hands like forks to mix and get to the very bottom. Because again, a lot of times you see people say they're mixing up stuff, and then you look and you're like, well, all the stuff is at the bottom of the bowl, so how'd you really get it mixed up good? So yeah, I think this is good. We'll call this good. And like I said, you know, easy done. So there it is. The mixture's all mixed up. And now you can either at this point get you a scoop and do your meatballs, or you can do like I am, by the eye of how big the meatballs is. We don't want super big meatballs, because these meatballs, we want to be where, if we wanted to use them in, if my husband wanted meatball subs, then it's perfect for that. You know, spaghetti and meatballs, yes, you can use it for that. Usually we do our ground meat just ground. We don't make the meatballs, but if you wanted to, that's what you could do. So we'll just go ahead and continue, and I'm gonna have to get rid of these gloves because they're annoying me. We'll continue to make our meatballs, and we'll come back when we're ready for the next step. All right, guys, we are back. Got the meatballs all made up. So at this point now, what I will do is go ahead and put them in the freezer to let them flash freeze. So we'll go ahead and get them in the freezer. and they will flash freeze. Once they're through, then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll get them out and we'll bag them up. So the next thing on our list, pulling you guys a bit closer, is we want to go ahead and start with our English muffins, getting them going. So we're going to go ahead and get them in the skillet and start browning them. And then what I generally like to do with my muffins is this one tried to give me an issue. So generally what I do with my muffins is I will get them going, I will brown them, and then as I brown them, I pull them out, of course, put them on the paper. But I like to run them in the oven just to ensure that the inside gets enough time to get cooked. So, got these going. And we'll keep going with our English muffins, browning them, and we'll come back once we get them all browned on the pan, and we'll get them in the oven. Okay guys, so I've gotten these, as you see, toasted up, and we're gonna run them in the oven and let them go for about 15 minutes to ensure that the inside is good and done. Okay, so I got that set at 15 minutes. So I'm gonna bring my board over and show you guys as I do different things. I like to have a list and mark it off. So I still gotta make butter. I still gotta do sauerkraut, but we are well on our way. And a couple of things I didn't put on there is like marinating some meat for the grill today to have on the grill, because everybody knows when it's warm I like to grill. It's the best thing you can do. So we're gonna go ahead, let those go for 15 minutes, get the cabbage all shaved up so that we can make sauerkraut next. Okay, see you back here in a few. All right guys, so we're back, and I got that one head of cabbage cut up, thinly sliced for the sauerkraut. And we're gonna go ahead and get into here with some salt, kosher salt. And it usually is like for every pound, a tablespoon of salt. So this is about a pound, so we're gonna just sprinkle that salt in there. And now all we wanna do is get in here with clean hands, and you're just gonna massage the salt around, because of course what's going to happen is that the sauerkraut, well, the cabbage will start dispersing liquid, and then it will get to the point where it just begins to have a lot of liquid, and then we'll be at the stage where we can put it in the jar and let it ferment on the counter for about a week, so it can get nice and sour, and hence you have sauerkraut. So I'm just gonna continue to mix my cabbage around, and we'll continue to work with it, and we'll be back when we get it right where we want it. But again, continuing to mix, and I can feel it starting to release its juices. So I'm just gonna keep working with it, and this is how simple making sauerkraut is. Now, if you wanted to, you could get real fancy and put in carrots or what have you into it. I just want this to be one regular batch of sauerkraut. I may end up putting in some minced garlic or something, maybe, but generally we just do plain sauerkraut or garlic sauerkraut. So we're just gonna, again, keep mixing this around. And as you can see, as I'm mixing, you can see it working down in the bowl, how it was, you know, piled to the top. But now it's just kind of getting lower and lower because that moisture is coming out of the cabbage, and that's what we need for it to do. The salt helps it to release the juices. So again, we'll keep mixing and we'll come back in just a moment. All right, guys, so we're back. Look at this. Now you know where that cabbage started out, and me just standing here mixing it, and it's hardly, as you can see, a whole head of cabbage that was a bowl full down. So now we're just gonna simply get it into our mason jars. I've got quart wide mouth jars here, and so we're gonna go ahead and start packing the cabbage in there, getting it all in our jar. And you wanna just pack your jar as you go, pushing it down, trying to get as much in there as possible, because again, your water is going to work its way out of your cabbage as you're packing. And just to give you an idea, see it's in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and start loading up the other jar, because I know that I would need 2 jars for this. And you're gonna want your cabbage to be obviously packed tight, but for your water to come up over the cabbage and cover it, so that there's no chance for mold or anything like that to grow in your sauerkraut as it's fermenting. And then if you see that you say you think you don't have enough liquid, then just simply add some water in. No harm to do that. Just add water in if you see you're not where you need to be with the liquid. Just add water and move on. So we got it packed in our jars, and we're just simply gonna go in with the last of the cabbage juice liquid that it's made. And I'll probably just add just a little bit more. Don't need a whole lot more, just a little bit more, because you got the weight that you're gonna put in your jar to help you. So here's what we have. We're going to simply take our weight, put it in there, and that goes up over, keeps the solution down. Then we're going to put our fermenting lid on top and screw it on, because then what happens is we burp these on a day-to-day basis to ensure to let any gas out. So get that on. Same thing with the next one. Get the lid in, the weight, fermenting weight. Got that in, and it's submerged, as you can see, liquid above that. Then we'll get our second lid on. And then all I simply do from here is let these sit on the counter, and we got sauerkraut fermenting, and they will go for a week. And then if after a week you taste it and it's not sour to where you want it, then you can easily just go ahead and let it stay out some more. And once you get it to where you want it as far as your sauerkraut taste, then you can simply go ahead and put it in your fridge. So we're just adjusting you guys a bit. And next, I've been really getting everything going. We have some ribeyes that I'm gonna simply get out of the packaging, and I'm gonna get the package and get the ribeyes out. And I wanna rinse them off, of course, and then I wanna get them seasoned for the grill so that they can already be marinating and getting flavor imparted into them. And once you get those done, I set them to the side and just let them have a good little time to marinate, because it's no rush as to a certain, time on when I want to get them on. So I'm not pressed for time, so I'm just gonna simply, you know me, wipe off my work area. Sauerkraut to the side. Then we're gonna go ahead and open these up and get them rinsed off really quickly. And then once we get them rinsed off, we're gonna go ahead and get it seasoned. So again, these are ribeyes, took them out to thaw. It's got pretty nice pieces of ribeyes. So we'll go ahead and get them off. Seasoned up. First thing I want to go in with is Worcestershire. So we're just going to go in with some Worcestershire sauce on them. Get those all seasoned with the Worcestershire. Then we're going to come in with some Kinder steak blend. Let's get that all over the steak, seasoning it well. And then of course we're gonna go in with some garlic herb buttery blend. Get that opened up. Really like the Kinder seasonings. I hadn't used them, and then somebody suggested them, and I saw a couple people use them, and I was like, okay, let me try. And I do actually like those. The last thing I'm gonna hit it with is gonna be, well, actually not the last, but got our salt, Himalayan salt. Sprinkle it through, and then we'll go ahead and get some cracked black pepper. All right, let's flip them over. Do the same thing on the next side. Some Worcestershire. And then once we get this in, what I like to do is, like I said, just let it sit. Get in your steak, let everything just marinate in so that the seasoning can get in. And this is basically the last of my little Kinder's steak blend. I've been liking that, so I have to pick up some more. This is the end. Really nothing left to get out of here. Yep, that's that. Buttery seasoning blend again. Just get that shake down very liberally, because you know I hate to see people talking about they season the food and the food come out with no taste because they're afraid to season it. Now I don't go crazy with salt, of course, but no salt blends and stuff like that that you can put on your food. You need to flavor it up so that the food has some type of taste. Nothing worse than bland food. And I hate for people to act like, oh, they season the food so good, and you can look at it and be like, that ain't got a lick of taste. So there we have the steaks all nicely seasoned. Gonna cover them with some plastic wrap. Let them set to the side. And then later we'll put those on the grill. The next thing I have will be some pork chops, so let me get those washed off real quick. Get those cleaned up pretty well. It's out of the paper. And again, this is like the last of what we had left out of a meat package that we had done from the butcher shop. This time we did a meat package, but we didn't do it from the same place, so I'm excited because one of the good things about the place that we did it from is you had the option to put your, have your meat vacuum sealed, and that's even better. So that's what we did. I'm very thrilled about that. All right. chops. Some paper towels and give them a quick dab. Two on a cutting board and then two in my little pan because I didn't feel like breaking out the other big cookie sheet. Got those kind of damped off a bit. All right. So now with the pork chop, we're gonna do garlic powder and onion powder. So garlic powder. Of course, you know, love my garlic and onion powder. Got that in. Going with the onion powder. Again, season your meat because without seasoning, it is bland. I don't care what people say. Unless you just don't like seasoning, it's very bland when you don't put enough of your seasoning on. Now in with some salt, just very lightly across the top. And then next we'll go in with pepper. And then I generally just go back behind and pat. Now I'm going to flip it over. And on this side, I'll start off with Worcestershire sauce. Because generally I only put it on one side. Sometimes I will do soy sauce if I have it. But I'm all out of my coconut aminos or low sodium soy sauce. Just out of it, so I forgot to get any at the store. So is what it is. Those that on it. And then we're just going to repeat the process. Go back in with our garlic powder. And always season from high. Learn that from Anne Burrell. The other great chefs out there that used to have my attention Food Network on Saturdays, but then they decided they had to mess that up with trying to make everybody be a co-host when that's not what everybody wanted to be as a co-host. People wanted to cook and showcase their food, but we got crazy and decided we'd change Food Network, and now it's not what it used to be when it first emerged. In with the salt. Okay, and then we'll just simply go back with the black pepper, and then our pork chop will be seasoned. And I'll just, again, give it a quick pat. Perfect. I'll bring these over here. Stick them at the end of the tray with the chops, and we'll wrap everything in foil. Excuse me, not foil, but plastic wrap. And then once we get these wrapped, they'll sit to the side so they can marinate a little bit longer. And we'll be right back with our next thing, which will be actually beef stock. We'll start some beef stock, and it will go in the slow cooker for almost 24 hours because you want to extract all that you can from those bones to get that stock, to get that gelatin and richness, and that's how you get bone broth. So actually, I try now, instead of just making stock, I try to make bone broth when I make chicken or beef. So we'll be right back. Okay guys, so we're back. I thought, I can't remember if I brought back, it showed the English muffins, of course, here they go. And so I wanted to go ahead and give you an inside peek. So, of course, the proper way to use English muffins, or not to use, but to cut, is to actually use a fork. So you can see the nooks and crannies. Look at that. That's the inside of the English muffin. Beautiful. So I'll get these packaged up and of course get them off the way. Now my last and final thing that I needed to do is going to be my beef stock, or should I say bone broth. And so I got beef neck bones in here inside the crock pot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add these ingredients. I have onion, I have carrots, rosemary, and I have bay leaves. I'm going to go in with all of that just as it is, and then my bay leaves, and then I will get water to put in, and once I cover it with water, it's gonna go, as I said, it will go for about 24 hours because you really, really want to let it cook low and slow and extract everything you can, all those minerals and things out of those bones, and that's when it becomes the actual bone broth and stuff. And then, you know, once I get it to where I want it to be, 24 hours, could let it go longer, it just depends. I will then ladle it out and can it, and if I can't get everything in the canner, then I will go ahead and save some for during the week for use. But you want to just cover the meat and the vegetables up, and then this is something that you can use any vegetables. I'm not a big celery fan, so I really never have celery unless it's around the holidays. So you can put celery in here, whatever you want to flavor it. You can save the scraps of vegetables and also add in here. I don't salt mine. I always just tend to leave my stocks in such without salt, so that when I'm cooking, I can use that to do any kind of seasoning and I don't have to worry about the salt ratio. So that's one reason why I don't put salt in. I mean, but again, your kitchen, your rules, do what you will, but we're gonna, again, it's in the stock. I've already covered it with water. We're gonna turn it on low and let it begin to simmer, and it'll go for 24 hours. So we've had a real productive day here in my kitchen, and I'm glad you guys stopped by to join me. Remember to like, subscribe, and share it, and we'll see you next time in Digitally Fabulous Kitchen. Happy Saturday to everybody, and enjoy your Valentine's Day.